Hello Internet and welcome to Financial Journey. My name is Alex and today I'm here to tell you about a method by which you, yes, you, can retire long before those that are taking the traditional path. That's right, today we are in fact going to be taking a look at the FIRE movement. FIRE, or F.I.R.E, is an acronym that can be divided into two parts: financial independence and retire early. The idea really stemmed from a book published back in 1992 by Vicki Robin called Your Money or Your Life. And the concept here is actually pretty simple and combines many of the financial concepts we've discussed on this channel. I spoke a bit about financial independence in my 4% rule video. This is the state at which your passive income from investments can replace your living expenses. For most in the FIRE movement, this is the goal: to save at least 25 times your annual expenses as quickly as possible. Although some take a more conservative approach of closer to 3% withdrawal rates, which would require them saving 33 times their annual expenses. Now, while most financial advisors will recommend saving somewhere between 10 and 25% of your income annually for retirement, within the FIRE movement, this is taken to an entirely new extreme, with practitioners usually saving between 50 and 75% through frugality and budgeting. The rationale here is relatively simple. If the goal is to save between 25 and 35 times your annual expenses, the lower your expenses and the more you can save, the faster you reach this goal. If we even ignore investment gains for a moment, if you're able to save 10% of your income, it will take 9 years of saving for 1 year of retirement, or 1 extra annual expenses. Now, if instead you're able to save 25%, this drops down to 3 years. But this is still within that normal rate of saving. If instead you're able to save 50% of your income, now you're able to save 1 times your annual expenses every single year. And if you're only spending 25% of your income, now you're actually able to save 3 times your annual expenses each and every year. Now, I'll readily admit it, this level of saving is incredibly difficult and not even reasonable for most people. For those of you who are living paycheck to paycheck, this idea may seem nice, but completely unobtainable. So how do they do it? Well, first off, yes, there is some level of privilege here. People that have higher incomes have a much easier time saving more. However, there are a variety of things you, and in fact anyone, can do, some of which are just generally good recommendations. The first thing is to take a look at everything you're spending money on and eliminate as much superfluous spending as possible. Honestly, having done this a while back, I think most of us would be surprised exactly how much we're spending on things we don't use, or at least don't need. Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Prime, Xbox Live, PlayStation Plus, HBO, Showtime, Apple Music, Pandora, Spotify, Blue Apron, gym memberships, and so on. All of these, and others, individually may seem like modest expenses. But if you've got several, they quickly add up. And if you're not using them, canceling a few services can save a lot of money in just a few years. There are a ton of places where budgets can be trimmed, even without really impacting your current lifestyle. Perhaps look into downgrading or outright eliminating your cable package. Most people don't need 100 megabyte per second streaming and 1,000 channels. Are you on Verizon or AT&T? Consider phone plans on Sprint or other carriers, and maybe don't buy that new iPhone if the one you have worked just fine. Another cost FIRE movement participants try to minimize is food. Cooking at home is simply less costly than eating out. And even if you're going to eat out, there's a wide range of options in both restaurant and meal choice that can greatly change your budget. When you eliminate your non-essential spending, suddenly you'll feel you have received a raise, as all that extra money can now be saved. There are some, however, that take frugality to truly extreme levels. Personally, I believe that if you're so frugal that you're not able to enjoy life, you've taken it too far. However, when it comes to financial independence, a little really does go a long way. If we simply base things on the 4% rule, every $100 that you can reduce your budget each month is $30,000 less that you need to save for retirement. Of course, a major contributor in all of this is to raise your income. Now that may sound obvious and even dismissive, but it truly is not meant to be. Think about it. If you are currently living paycheck to paycheck, where your income exactly covers all of your expenses, that means that every single additional dollar that you can bring in is money that you can save towards the goal of financial independence. Now, you may not be able to simply walk into your boss's office and demand a raise, and for many, switching careers into a higher paying job isn't nearly as easy as some would like to make it seem. But for those working a normal 40-hour work week, look for those additional side hustles or second jobs. Even delivering pizzas in the evenings can bring in an extra $1,500 a month. I know this from experience, as my wife did do this for a while. Well, I certainly doubt you want to work 60 to 80 hours a week forever. The goal here is to jumpstart the process and possibly get you out of work entirely. Remember, if you're able to save 75% of your income, you would hit the 25 times annual expenses goal in under 9 years. And that is even without considering any gains from investments. The third thing those in the FIRE movement employ is what I like to call strategic spending. There are certainly a variety of things you simply have to spend money on. The most obvious of those are place to live and a way to get to work. While I don't have the exact statistics, most people in the FIRE movement purchase used cars. Not a car that you have, in and out of the mechanic all the time, but rather a reliable car in good shape with moderate mileage that's at least 5 years old, where it's really towards the bottom of its depreciation curve. Or they might even ride a bike to work, eliminating the cost of a vehicle altogether. For most of us, our housing is the single largest expense we have on a monthly basis. And this is particularly true if you live in a large metropolitan city, where that alone can eat up 25% or more of your income easily. Regardless of where you live, what many in the FIRE movement do to mitigate or even completely eliminate this cost is what's known as house hacking. While I'm going to do a video that goes into house hacking in more depth in the future, the concept here is to purchase a multifamily residential property, like a duplex, triplex, or fourplex, live in one unit, and use the income from the other units to pay for the entirety of the mortgage, taxes, insurance, as well as have some leftover funds for any repairs for all of the units. Now, these deals certainly do not come along every day, but with diligent searching, they can be found, and some will even pay you to live there. If you're in your early 20s, you may have just recently purchased a single-family home to live in, and perhaps you're kicking yourself now that you've heard of this idea. But that's okay, you truly haven't missed out, as there's a very similar concept, tailor-made for those who are young and unmarried. And the idea here is simple. You simply rent out additional rooms in your home, be it on Airbnb or for permanent tenants. Living with your friends when you're young is not only a lot of fun, but can be a majorly impactful financial decision. Many of you have probably had roommates in college or shared a rental with a friend to save on costs, and the idea here is exactly the same. But when you are the owner, you simply set the rents to where, hopefully, you don't have to pay anything. But rather than spending on rent, you can let your tenants pay and simply tuck away the money, possibly for a down payment on your next property. This time you could even explore a multifamily and keep the original home as your first rental property. And all of a sudden, you've got your first investment property. And with it, cash flow. Sure, there is a substantial upfront investment, But with house hacking, you can live for free and substantially cut down your monthly expenses. And there are options like cash out refinances, which, on a good deal, may allow you to get all of the money you've put into the property back out and not have any money out of hand in the property. When your savings have grown large enough, you will reach financial independence. And at that point, your job needs you more than you need your job. We've finally reached the point that you can retire early. Interestingly, while retiring early seems like the primary goal of the FIRE movement, particularly in recent years, this has actually lost a lot of the focus. Sure, you can retire once you've reached financial independence, but the picture of retirement most in the FIRE movement now have is quite different than sitting on a beach drinking pina coladas all day. Rather, they're working toward hitting the like button for the YouTube algorithm. In all seriousness, this is actually a very important distinction. As I will address in a future video, the 4% rule may not actually be a good way to approach retirement with the FIRE movement, particularly if you're looking to keep up with inflation, as retirement is likely to extend well beyond the 30-year traditional retirement plans. Beyond that, circumstances change. Your spending habits at age 45 may be quite different than those in your 50s, 60s, or 70s. And this is particularly true for those who are looking to reach financial independence in their 20s or 30s, as something as simple as starting a family can completely throw your carefully planned retirement into chaos. So, if the FIRE movement doesn't really get you to retirement as you're envisioning it, what's the point? Well, financial independence is a liberating goal. I said it earlier, when you don't need the money from your job needs you more than you need them. And that gives you a world of flexibility. Any additional money you're able to save simply increases your level of safety should you retire, or can increase the amount you're able to access each year by increasing your retirement savings. If you decide you don't like your current job, or even better, have a passion that you wish to pursue, you can do so, content in the knowledge that if it doesn't work out or the pay is less, then you can always fall back on the retirement income you've already planned for. This is the opportunity to start that business that you've always dreamed of, to go work for that nonprofit whose mission you care so much about, or to travel to Hawaii and spend a year living there with just a part-time job to cover any living expenses. Financial independence is a goal every person looking to retire must achieve. For those in the FIRE movement, aggressive saving now can allow you to reach that goal all the faster. And even beyond, the skills and habits learned along the way can allow you to continue building a staggering level of wealth, or simply explore the fields you're passionate about. As someone who is always espousing saving and investing, particularly early in life, I can't fault the basic tenets of the FIRE movement. Increase the difference between your income and your spending, particularly while you're young, and save and invest the rest. The FIRE movement is not for everyone and does require some level of sacrifice in your budget. Nonetheless, it's a trend that's catching fire. Thank you so much for watching this video. What do you think about the FIRE movement, frugal living, and house hacking? Are you planning to retire early? How do you envision such a retirement? Let me know down in the comments. If you enjoyed this video or learned something new, please hit that like button down below. If you're interested in personal finance, investing, in retirement, please consider becoming a subscriber and ring the bell to be notified of new videos. I'm currently posting every week, so check back soon. I'll see you in the next one.